just wow. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to narc on you right now. Literally 6 seconds before the show goes on the air, Jeff Blankman finally sits down in the studio to begin our half-an-hour grievance show.
Now, I was working. I was interviewing a coach across the hallway. So.
I don't care what you were doing. You were not here.
I wasn't, in case he's gone today, so you thought you were in a little trouble, didn't you?
Well, no, I just would have just played another song, right? That's what I would have done. I know how to cover my own rear end on all these situations, but 6 seconds.
Plenty of time in radio.
What is the best advice for this? Do better next time, okay?
I'll be fine next week. I don't have any. I won't have the interview right away in the morning. So.
See, you're just you just think you can do anything now that you're like the champion of the Bold Challenge series.
Yes.
So I 6 seconds into his yearly reign, and I'm already sick of it.
Yeah, I can understand. It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, already got the trophy on display here.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten the picture of me yet to be able to throw it out on social media and brag yet.
It's going to be unlivable for the next 364 days. I'm telling you. Yeah, you were the champion.
Yeah, took the crown from you because you won it a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal the glory again.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll just let somebody else have it.
I will say, Nick,
I didn't realize it was going to be you.
Yes. When Nick stopped off and got his last place trophy here a couple of weekends ago, he really liked your day one trophy that's still proudly displayed over here.
I am very proud of that trophy.
Yes.
That is, kids, the lesson in life. It's not how you finish, it's how you start. Because I was a leader after the first session of the NCAA tournament bracket that we had one year. So
yes, and
that was what, 20? Is there a date on that?
I don't know. Go check here real quick. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, what year?
2019, kids. I'm still living off that glory.
That was literally 6 years ago.
6 years. What has happened? How did that? How is that possible that it's gone 6 years?
I was thinking maybe 3 at the most.
I should probably dust it one of these days because it's looking a little shabby.
It is. Yeah.
Our thanks to Jim Jensen, by the way, up there at Trophies Plus for providing our trophies for this.
I always forget who's the kangaroo that's hanging out with it.
I remember that when we used to have this show on streaming.
Yeah,
and that was like the Roo, whatever that.
Yeah, okay.
It was some DVD thing.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but it was those folks.
Okay.
I don't even remember their names. I'm sorry. I didn't remember what year I won a trophy. So I mean, who knows?
It was that many years ago that they were in here streaming us?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably something like that.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, Ohio State winning the national championship last night.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
I will say, though, I was glad that Notre Dame made a game of it in the fourth quarter because it was getting to that point where it's like, oh, God, this game's getting kind of blah because it wasn't very close. And
didn't watch a second of it because I have no interest in either team anymore.
Okay. So. Notre Dame had a really nice, almost 11-minute drive to open the game and scored, and then Ohio State came back and had a nice long drive and scored, and then Notre Dame didn't do anything offensively until the fourth quarter. Got down 31-7, and it looked like it was just going to be a utter blowout. And then, had it down to 8, and made just I get it, they blitzed, and they came with 7. But you had no help over the top. And
when your back is against the wall and you've got nothing left to lose, you throw everything at them.
Yeah, but then as a cornerback, you can't let the guy get past you, and he let the guy get past him. And they completed the deep pass, and that set up the field goal that clinched things for him. But, it was down to an 8-point game, and I question, he's a great coach, but you're down 16, 4 minutes to go or something like that, and he tries to kick a field goal. I'm like, you're still going to be down by 2 scores. Why? And not even a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal is going to tie this thing. Why are you kicking a field goal? And then they miss it.
Yeah,
they missed it.
It's got to be. You got to go for it. I mean, you got to let it all hang out at that point. But they made the championship game. Of course, Brian Kelly left Notre Dame saying that they don't have what he needs to win a championship. He goes to LSU. They have a mediocre season. by LSU standards.
Right.
And Notre Dame winds up in the championship game with a coach that everybody seems to just absolutely love.
Yeah, I think he's a real likable guy, which is really difficult because, I don't want to somewhat respect him. I still continue to like to hate Notre Dame.
To loathe them.
Yes. So, but, he's a guy that you kind of like. And then on the flip side of things, Ryan Day nearly fired after losing to Michigan late in the regular season.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then comes back and leads the team to the national championship. That's why you don't listen to fans.
51 days ago that Michigan beat Ohio State, and everybody was ready to just write them all off. When back they came and they played even better than ever. That was the one thing that really spurred them on. Not the loss to Oregon earlier in the year. It was that loss to Michigan.
Yep. I do have to laugh, though, because I was listening to some, stuff last night with fans after the game got over, and there was a lot of Ohio State fans that were calling in, and they were saying things like, yeah, we're excited to win a national championship, but I'd have rather had the win over Michigan. So that loss to Michigan, though it spurred them to win a national championship, still going to haunt them because they would rather beat Michigan than win a national championship.
I'm sorry, Natty is a little bit better than beating Michigan.
I would think so. But, I do get it. There are some teams, growing up, I wanted to beat Oklahoma really bad. And then, the disgust I had for Colorado, I wanted to beat them really bad. And now there's a team kind of nowadays. Not that I'd rather take a national championship. I'm not that bad, but I'd rather take a national championship. The Natty means more than anything.
You got to be pretty spoiled to do that. But I did read that Ohio State outspends every other school in sports. Was it $200 or $300 million they spend on their athletics every year? A $20 million football roster.
Probably closer to 300, I would guess. Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah. They have a huge budget. I still laugh because, and I get it. People our age are all like, oh, this NIL stuff, and it's like, yeah, I know the money's bigger, but the day that NIL was approved, Ryan Day holds a press conference and says, well, there's NIL now. It's going to take $13 million for us to keep our roster together. It's like they were paying $13 million at that point before NIL even became, when you know exactly what it's going to take to keep your roster together, you already know what you're paying people.
The money just went from under the table to over the table, on top of the table.
Yes, and it got a little bigger. It got bigger.
Oh, sure.
But
as everybody went, okay, it's now out there in the open. It's fair game.
Yep.
And I don't know. If you get into the discussion about NIL, a lot of folks, it's destroyed college football, it's destroyed college athletics. Well, they were heading that direction anyway. And I think there's still changes that are going to be made that I think that they're going to become employees of the university under contract.
Right.
So that might calm things down a little bit, but I can't blame the kids for any of this, and they do. A lot of people do because they're just greedy.
Right.
Who's not going to want to make the most they can for whatever they can get for it?
And my response always is when we were that age, if we were, going to college to play an athletic and somebody came and offered us a whole bunch of more money to go to a different school and then play that same sport, very few of us would have not taken the money and ran. So, you got to look in the mirror a little bit, when you call out the kids today and realize that you probably would have been no different if you could have been in that same situation.
The only difference is about 3 to 6 zeros at the end of a digit.
yes, absolutely.
So,
and I get it. There's a frustration. The game has changed and all of those things. But I just had a conversation the other day with a good friend of mine, and I'm like, I hated it in the 80s when I was a kid, and the older generation would say things to me like, oh, Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, they wouldn't be able to compete with Bob Cousy and all those guys. And those guys, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, and those guys were great players, but so were Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. And I always told myself, when I get to be that older generation, I'm not going to sit here and rip on the game of today because it doesn't fit what I want it to be, or I'm not going to say that the guys today. I mean, Bob Cousy came out just the other day and speaking of the NBA and said, he goes, I don't know why there's so much negative publicity towards the NBA. He goes, watch the game. He goes, these guys are brilliant, and they make things look easy. He goes, I love watching the NBA, and here's a guy that played in the 50s and 60s, and stuff, and he loves watching the game today.
Yeah, they just played differently.
They do.
Back then.
The game changes every generation.
And they change the rules to change the game, and these guys take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And Georgia quarterback he said he's coming back to college football because he's going to make like $10 million playing at the U down in Miami. So I mean that's crazy.
Yeah.
That these kids are going to make way more staying in college for as long as they can.
Right.
Making that money. Very few.
Right.
Let's put it. Most of them will not.
Right.
A vast majority of them will not, but there's a few that can really take advantage of the rules.
And that helps the college game when your best players are staying behind. Now, at the same time, I sit here and I'm like, does a college kid 10 million?
Yeah.
10 million for
If he's showing up to practice in a Lamborghini, does he really need a coach?
Yeah, when you're making more than your coach does.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm not too thrilled with the college coaches' salaries and all of that stuff.
That's where a lot of this started, when coaches started making $6 to $8 million a year, and there was so much money in college athletics, and players started sitting here saying, and players started sitting here going, what are we getting? What are we getting out of this? Yeah.
All right. So we can go on that rant all day long. But what do we have? The final standings for the Bowl Challenge?
I read those last week because,
there was no changes.
Yeah, there was no changes. Nobody had either Georgia, Texas, or Oregon was everybody's champion. So nobody had Ohio State or Notre Dame to win it. So.
Great. So as far as I'm concerned, I finished second. You can't tell me any differently.
Well, you were middle of the pack.
No. Well, that was close to second, so I'm just going to round up to second there. And just call it that. What else going on right now? Oh, here we go. Iowa State.
Yeah.
They are actually the women. Check this out. I don't know if I said this last week or not. The Iowa State women have made 3-pointers in a game. Did I talk about this last week?
No, we didn't, but
They suffered a loss at Texas Tech. They didn't make a 3-pointer in that game for the first time in nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
What an incredible streak that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy. 945 games they had made a 3-pointer.
Yeah. And I think Bill Finley said it well after the game that I'd have taken not making a 3 if we'd have won the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Iowa State men last Saturday, they shoot less than 6% from beyond the 3-point line in a loss to West Virginia. They were 1 for 17.
Yeah, and I'm going to laugh at this, but I hate social media, but I love social media. Get on social media after that game, and there's so many Iowa State fans just tearing that team apart, because they lost and they shot bad, and they're calling them out for playing so horribly. And I'm like, this was the second-ranked team in the country. You've got a really good basketball team to be going on social media and telling these guys that they stink and other words that I'm not going to be able to use on the radio. And it's like, oh, come on now, guys. You're adults. Come on wake up a little bit. Yeah.
Everybody has a bad game.
Yes.
Granted, they didn't play their best. But you're also talking West Virginia, a team that already has 3 top 10 upsets.
Wins,
and wins on the season. So, I mean, these guys should have been ranked.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. And they played great. Yeah. West Virginia played great. Iowa State did not shoot the ball well, didn't play great, as not like a typical Iowa State game.
And it's coming off the Kansas win.
Yeah.
So you go out and you play so well against kind of that team that everybody in that conference always wants to beat. And then you have a little bit of a letdown. And
huge emotional home win followed by a very tough road trip. It's called a trap game.
Yep.
And now you can return home tonight taking on UCF. And I'm sure they're going to probably take things out on UCF.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't want to be UCF tonight because that the team that played Kansas is going to show up tonight for Iowa State.
All right, so I got a trivia question for you here.
Okay.
This one's a good one.
I'm all alone this week.
One. Yeah. There's only one venue ever to host a World Series, a Super Bowl, a Final Four, and a Major League Baseball All-Star game. Only one.
All of those?
Yeah, all of those. It has hosted all of those.
Super Bowl, a World Series, and college football.
It no longer exists.
Oh, geez.
It's an older stadium. So I'll let you think about that one for a little while.
Okay.
That one's tough.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this one.
All right. Well, we'll answer that one later on.
Okay.
Let's talk about, you sent me an email today. There's Baseball Hall of Fame announcements going on out there, and some postseason or some preseason.
Postseason awards, yeah.
Mid-off-season awards. I don't know what we call them.
The Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Association, they have their annual banquet every year at around this time. It used to be over in Cedar Rapids and stuff, and they've moved it now to Des Moines. But just want to let it out there that some local people honored and stuff here this past week. Scott Parcher, of course, of Carroll, the President's Award.
They literally should just name that award after him. I mean, that's how good
yes.
Carroll's Merchants Park is.
Yes, and stuff. So congratulations to Scott, one of the hardest work. Yeah. He's probably overworking on the grass at the stadium.
I wouldn't
right
doubt it.
Now. I wouldn't either. Yeah.
It would be interesting if he ever did media.
Yep.
If he ever did an interview, just say, what does that do to you when they're ripping things up and tearing things up apart and to redo it in a better way? But that's got to just kind of kill him inside. Go, no, don't touch that.
Yeah. It'd be nice when he fully retires to get him to stop in to rewind and just kind of talk about his history of working with the field and where it started.
I'm not sure he's ever going to retire, is he?
Yeah, probably not. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he does such an amazing job over there. Congratulations to Michael Barta, former Kemper Knight, of course, now the head coach at Johnston, has done an amazing job over there. He entered the 400 win club this season and was also
How many years has he been there now?
Oh, I don't even know for sure. Probably
400 wins?
Yeah, probably between 10 and 15, I'm guessing. I'm
really, it's
guessing
been that
at
long.
that. Yeah, probably somewhere in there, I'm guessing.
Well, for 400 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, did they all come at Johnston?
As far as I know, they've all come at Johnston.
I don't think he was a head coach before that.
And that's, I didn't cover Michael, so I don't know
it's
him as
be
well.
Minimum 15.
Yeah,
there's no way he won 40 games a year for 10 years.
Right, yeah. So it's got to be somewhere in between there or whatever. But yeah, they've got one of the elite programs in all of high school baseball. He was also named the North Central 4A District Coach of the Year, which I think he wins that most years and stuff because of the job he does. And then congratulations as well to Rod Berg, of course, here in Carroll. Rod was named the Umpire of the Year for the Northwest District of the state. So some great honors for some of the local guys and stuff that, do such a great job in the summertime of, coaching and working the game of baseball.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So we look forward to actually being able to talk about baseball because it won't be 30 below zero like it was this morning.
Yeah, it's driving in here this morning, I glanced down at my phone and I said, is it really 9 degrees below zero out here right now?
Yeah. It is. It was down there like 13 below zero. So, by the way, we should wish a happy birthday here.
Yeah.
Guy used to be on this show a number of years ago, but he contributes by texting us, vulgarities every once in a while.
Yes, things that we can't say on the radio.
Gestures that are aimed towards us at times.
So in Michigan,
thanks for keeping us in line.
Yeah.
There, Jeff Honnold celebrating a birthday today.
Yeah, 56, I think, today. So, still a young guy, but
Don't look a day over 65.
No, yeah.
Not a
you
day.
give him a couple of years there. I was going to say about 70. So, but he's out on the road somewhere out east. I talked to him yesterday, and he was on his way to Michigan. Was it yesterday or Sunday? I think I talked to him Sunday, and he was on his way out to Michigan.
Visiting the land of the national champions.
Yes,
Ohio.
So Ohio right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully he has a good trip. But I've got some good photos of him from over the years at some of the sporting events. They may end up out on Facebook here before the day is over.
He has posted some of the worst photos of you I've ever seen. So he deserves it.
So payback. Yeah, payback.
Exactly. He did have a guess for our trivia question. What facility has hosted the Super Bowl, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, the Final Four, and what was the other one? The other one was the
I think you said the
World
NCAA
Series?
championship game or
World
something?
Series.
World Series, okay.
World Series, Super Bowl, Final Four, and Major League Baseball All-Star Game, the Houston Astros. And I'm happy to say, Jeff, that you are wrong. You're wrong.
So it wasn't the Astrodome.
It's not the Astrodome. That was my first guess as well.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. I'm like, the Final Four is the one that throws me off because it's like it's got to be an indoor facility, I would think, to be able to do that.
You are correct.
Was it the old Metrodome up in Minneapolis?
It's the Metrodome.
Okay.
The worst sporting facility that man has ever created. It was a horrible, horrible place. I've been there a couple times.
Yeah.
You talk about the most depressing place to walk into.
Yeah.
It was the Metrodome.
Yeah. I went up and saw a few Twins games, and then it would have been 19.
Oh, that was horrid.
80.
Horrid walking into that indoor facility for a baseball game.
Yeah, it was. I did go up to the 83 Nebraska-Minnesota football game. That was a joyous occasion. We won like 87-10 or something like that. So that was, that was back with Mike Rozier and Turner Gill for any Nebraska fans listening. But
there's a little old-time Nebraska
history, yes.
The year that the Metrodome roof collapsed finally, and you saw the snow piling down. I can't even remember how many years ago that was, but that was the greatest day. I thought it was like, because that time you need a new stadium. This thing is just terrible up there. So, but it holds the distinction of being the only venue ever to World Series, Super Bowl, Final Four, and it actually did that twice. Hosted the World Series in obviously 87-91. Twins won the World Series. Super Bowl in 1992. 2 NCAA Final Fours, 1992 and 2001. And the Major League Baseball All-Star Game in 85. Just after it had opened.
Okay.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more KCIM Sports Rewind coming up.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
KCIM Sports Rewind, flying solo with just Jeff Blankman in the studio and the sports director. I'm John Ryan. And local sports, we had any updates on tonight's games? Probably not.
Yeah, kind of a goofy one here, but got a message from Kemper earlier this morning that said that their games with Clarinda were postponed tonight. Got a message right before I came in and sat down to start the show this morning that the games are back on.
Was that like 30 seconds before you walked in? Because you only walked in like 6 seconds.
About 45 seconds before I walked in.
So no games with Kemper Clarinda tonight.
No, they're back on now. That was the second text. The first one came in and said they were postponed, and then the second text about an hour to 2 hours later said that the games are back on.
Wait a minute. We're back on.
After the show, I'll re-update the website and everything else to get it that those games are no longer
Well, because the forecast actually has rising temperatures through the evening, and up to once about 2 a.m., it's going to be about 17, which will feel like a heat wave because we're at 4 below right now.
Right. Yeah. I'm ready for getting above zero. Now, I will say this, and I know it sounds weird. I'd rather have 10 degrees below zero and no wind than 10 degrees above zero and 30-mile-an-hour winds out of the northwest. Wind drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's the coldest part of winter for sure.
Yep.
You mentioned Kemper over the weekend, taking on West Lyon up there at BV, and I tell you what, great ball game.
Oh, yeah, fantastic game. If you want to watch some really good basketball, we did video that game, so you can pull up that game and go back and watch it on the CB Sports Network YouTube channel. Kemper fell down 5-0 right away, and then got down 13-5 early, and came back and tied the game at 18, and then West Lyon opened up the second quarter again, able to get to the rim. They were using backdoor cuts and able to get to the rim on Kemper early, and they got up by 10, and the Knights made a nice run to tie things up and had a chance to take a lead at the end of the first half, but didn't have a real good possession, didn't even really get a shot off, and so we went into the halftime tied, and Brock Bading, who had struggled from the field in the first half, came out and hit a couple of huge threes and had a block early in the third, and Tragan Biter put Kemper ahead for the first time, what a fantastic game. I think the game changed leads 5 or 6 times in the third quarter. And then Kemper was able to build a little bit of a lead, and they go on to hold on for a 3-point win. Kemper had 3 turnovers in the game. I think they forced West Lyon to about 10 or 11. But just an extremely, extremely well-played game. Big shots on both sides and stuff. And what Hogue Even from West Lyon had, I think, 8 threes in the game and stuff, and just shot the ball really well. So probably one of the best basketball games I've had a chance to be a part of in a long, long time, and that was a huge win for Kemper because they stayed at number 2 in the rankings. I thought maybe that win might jump them over Western Christian, but the rankings came out yesterday, and they stay behind Western Christian in the rankings. West Line with that loss didn't drop at all; they stay at number 4. So, but what a great game!
I mean, Kemper has passed every test so far, pretty much with flying colors. The Catholic Classic down there, and they did lose to Dowling. But what's left for Kemper to prove, or to what other hurdles are left in front of them for the rest of the regular season?
Lewis Central in the Hawkeye 10. There also is, the last time I looked, they're undefeated in the league, so they'll be the last potential test for them in the conference. If I remember correctly, they've got Des Moines Christian. I know that. They've got Des Moines Christian Saturday, part of the Gilbert Classic that they play in every year, and Des Moines Christian's a good ball club, so that could be a test. And stuff. So there's not many left on the schedule until they get into the postseason. We're only about 2.5 weeks away from, the postseason, 3 weeks away from getting the postseason going. So as long as they go out and play the way they're capable of, they start things on the defensive end and stay healthy. They're as good as I've probably seen in my 21 years of covering high school sports here. So
it's those games like the one with West Lyon and those that as an announcer,
yes,
continues to keep you fired up for the rest of the regular season.
Absolutely. I'll live off of that one for the next 3 weeks until we get into the postseason. That was great basketball, huge crowd, and the people were into it, and it was a lot of fun. Tragan Biter and Dylan Schoen were absolutely tremendous in that game. And Casey and I talked on the way home. Dylan Schoen's kid that comes off the bench, and it's like. Maybe one of the better players, not just for Kemper, but one of the better players in the area. Is just a sophomore, and it's fun watching him and those guys go out and play.
Give me some other headlines that are going on in basketball, wrestling, whatever else we got going on.
Yeah, just thinking of rankings here real quick. When the rankings came out, I thought maybe Coon Rapids Bayard would creep in, and I get it. You've got people voting, and stuff, and they work hard at it. I'm not saying that, but it's interesting to me. You got Woodbine ranked number 3. They're undefeated on the year. They hold on to beat Coon by 1 or 2 here earlier this year at home. Coon's got just the one loss to Woodbine. Somehow can't crack the rankings.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just kind of surprising because they don't give you others receiving votes, so you don't know. It's like, where are they at in that thing? And I'm not saying that rankings are inaccurate or any of those kind of things. You just kind of wonder where this really good Coon Rapids team is at, and how close they are to jumping in.
I'm thinking Corey Myers doesn't mind that at all.
I don't think so. The only thing,
fine, leave us off.
The only thing will be is this with the High School Athletic Association now being the one to release these rankings, how much does that impact your seeding for the postseason? So if you're in those rankings, do you get a better seed? Do you maybe, if you're 11th, or a 6th, do you not get a team in the top 8 in your sub-state, that type of thing? So, as much as flying under the radar is probably what Corey likes, there's a part of it that, maybe being in the rankings can benefit you in the long run. So,
okay, be unranked for a long time, then jump in at the last minute.
That's
the ideal
Absolutely,
scenario.
yeah. So, but that team, that's a team that if you want to watch good basketball, you go down there and watch that Coon Rapids Bayard team. So they've been playing really well.
I mean, what about their game?
They're so good defensively. Corey is such a great defensive coach and puts in so much time game planning to shut down what other teams want to do. And then, Cal Hayden is a big part of it. He comes in averaging, I think, 22 and 11 and stuff. And he's one of those guys that, he can dominate you inside. He can take the ball and he can take the defensive rebound and lead the fast break. He can score when he wants to. And then, Parker Hayes has taken his game to another level. Ty Hayden grew a few inches over the offseason and went from being a guard and kind of a three-point shooter a year ago into being the other post guy this year. And he's averaging about 12 or 13 rebounds a game. And
that's a tough transition to make.
It is, and has done a tremendous job filling that role. Caden Oswald can defend. They've gotten some help off of the bench this year. Bryce Lewis is shooting the ball well. So it's just a really well-rounded team, and they're certainly a really good team. They get overshadowed in our area a little bit because Kemper's so special this year, but people don't want to forget about how good that Coon Rapids Bayard team is.
How about headlines in girls basketball?
Carroll and Coon Rapids Bayard both in the rankings. Carroll jumped in, had a huge win last week against Gilbert, who was ranked ahead of them, and then had to take on number 2 North Polk and ended up falling in that game. So we'll see if they stay in the rankings. I hope going 1-1 against ranked teams and your loss to the number 2 team in the state doesn't drop you out. But they were number 14, when the rankings came out last Thursday, and Katie Cook's done a tremendous job. They play so hard. Both Allie and Chloe Cook are coming on and playing well. Olivia Rowetters just solid for them in the middle, and Caitlin Aiden, such a great defensive player and stuff. The question sometimes is if shots aren't going, but they usually defend well enough, to help them out with that conference. 5 ranked teams, I think, in that conference, so there's never an easy game in that conference, but they've had a really good year. And then
Katie Cook has done a heck of a job.
She has, absolutely, and deserves a lot of credit for what she's done there. Coon Rapids-Bayard ranked number 12 in Class 1A. Really good ball club led by Malia Clayberg and Anna Hart, but Aubrey Hoffbauer and Ella Heidoff have really stepped up. Lauren Cook plays well for them off the bench and stuff, so they just have a really nice team down there. And again, they started with defense. They kind of use the old ICAM Manning method, is play really good defense, get turnovers, get out on the break and score, and if you can't, we're going to start our offense on the inside and pound it inside, and then when you try and double us down there, we're going to kick and hit some outside shots. So, Caitlin McAllister played for Gene Rasmussen, and they play that similar style that she played when she was a Wolf. But
it's that style that makes you never want to play them again.
Right. Yes.
And there's a lot to be said about that.
Yep. So
we got to move on with the wrestling.
Wrestling, Carson Webker up to number 4 in boys for South Central Calhoun, and he remains undefeated on the year right now. And this is just in matches wrestled, so this doesn't count the forfeits. I know his record's different than that, but at 18-0 on the year. And then Macy Rasmussen from Audubon, ranked number 2 right now in her weight class, sitting at 27-0 on the year. And is having a special year. So both of them are freshmen. That's kind of the scary part of that, is both of them are freshmen.
Very good out there.
Yep.
Anything coming up this week or anything else we missed on this past week?
Most of our boys wrestling teams are going to be headed over to Ida Grove for the Herb Ergrens, which is a Friday-Saturday wrestling tournament.
Huge tournament.
Carroll girls basketball team hosting St. Albert coming up this weekend. St. Albert number 1 in Class 1A, or Class 2A maybe. So that's going to be a big, important game.
All right, so that is, once again, what's happening this week. KCIM Sports Rewind. You can catch a podcast of this available on the website and mobile app coming up here in just a couple more moments.